In Aspermont?
We are.
Are you serious?
We are.
Really? Wow. Are y'all staying at the Hilton or at the Budget?
We're staying at the Hilton.
You stay at the Hilton? Yeah. How long can you do that?
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order now. Roll call. Marvin's here, Martha's here, Buddy's here. Sandy can't be here tonight. So we need to approve the minutes for the August 15th, August 30th, and September 4th board meetings. Oh.
They're going to be technical up here.
I just missed it. Does anybody have anything for open forum?
I have one thing, and that's the only thing, is that we've been meeting here in this office. Next month, hopefully, we'll be meeting 2 doors down at the Mountain Coach Room. The EDC, IDC, and Chamber is moving our office down there, that building. So hopefully, y'all will be notified exactly where, but we'll hope to be there.
Anybody else? Okay, now we'll approve the minutes for those board meetings.
I move to be approved.
And Marvin's made a motion to approve them. Third, second. Third, again, second. All in favor? Okay, we need to adopt our 2012 tax rate, and we had decided on the rollback rate of 0.380215. So we need a motion to adopt that rate.
I'll make a motion to accept it and approve.
Have a motion, any more discussion on it?
I'll second.
Marvin second, all those in favor? Okay, the next thing on the agenda is, we have Bailey Wilcox and Alan Bradley here with IHM. Did y'all all get your reports? Your IHM reports?
Did you mind that IHM report?
Yeah.
Do y'all have any questions for the ladies, or do y'all have anything to tell us other than what's on our report?
Martha's right here on the report. I guess we would like to say thank you for having us here, and thank you for inviting IHM to be part of your Stonewall team. We've been very fortunate to be able to work with Amy and the staff at Stonewall. They've been very gracious to some immediate changes we made, and Amy's been very aggressive about making some of those. So that always helps us as a team to get things rolling in the right direction when we have administrative and personnel support. Sometimes we don't always get that as well as we would like, so we appreciate that very, very much. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about IHM. Is a wonderful company. I have really been with IHM not quite 2 years now. And my background is actually on the clinical side. I'm actually an RN. But I worked in a small rural facility just similar to yours for 37 years, and lots of different capacities, and probably 15, 20 of that I worked in administration and COO capacity. So I know the struggles that you have in a small rural facility, and my partner over here, Buddy Wilcox, she also worked at Munich for a long time with me too. She got very experienced. She's the long-term member of IHM. She's the only member of IHM. She's been with the company the longest of all of us, and so she can add some light to that. But and her background is really in the financial side. She's done everything from starting out as a mid-clerk all the way up to the CFO position. So she's got lots of experience in that respect, and she's been in the consulting world for a long time too. So that's really pretty much our experience. But we have other team members that we feel like what makes IHM a team is that we have a Medicaid specialist. And I know y'all don't go a lot of Medicaid here. We also have a Medicare specialist, Sabrina Hyatt, and she's actually the one that's doing your Medicare billing now. So I think you're very fortunate to have her because she knows lots of out there. You know, the rules for the payers are so vast anymore, and particularly with Medicare and Medicaid, that one person can't really keep up with all of that. So we try to kind of specialize at IHM. We have a credentialing specialist that is available to y'all. It's not in your contract, but you have a credentialing specialist that if you need assistance, can do that, and for I'm sure they do an hourly charge to you. I don't do the finances for IHM, so we have other people that are commercial specialists. We have people that are specialists in rural health facilities. So we really have a nice team of what we feel like specialists. Because lots of time if I have a Medicare question, a billing question, I call Sabrina. I don't know her. Or I can call Diana. That's a Medicaid question. So that's kind of how IHM is built. We have a Lubbock office. That's our main office. And then we also have a south office at Round Rock. And we have a team down there also. So, and our business is really with small rural facilities. All of our facilities that we service are small rural facilities and clinics. So that's actually our specialty. So anyway, I'll just put the introductions with that and ask if you would like me to go over the written report with you, or you have any questions regarding that written report. Or anything you've heard in the community regarding changes or anything. If we can field some questions, we'll be happy to do that.
I'm just very happy to have you all here trying to collect our
Well, thank you. You know, I guess, and like I said, we've tried to kind of put just a summary together of a few things that problems that we've found so far and corrective actions that we're trying to implement. And every time we found something like we try to do another corrective action or implement something else. We are on site, we'll be on site a couple of days a week for at least the first 6 months, so we're sure everything's rolling good. Then we kind of taper off if we've got everything going good for you. But you know, you had lots of problems, I think, in the billing and charge master area. I still think you have lots of problems in the charge master area. In the billing area, you really, I think people were trying to do the best they could do. Your personnel was really truly trying, but I really don't feel like they were educated in the billing process. And you know, as the rules have gotten more complex through the years, billing for healthcare is really an art. I mean, it's really a specialty, and just anybody can't do that anymore. We used to do that when billing wasn't quite so complex anymore, but I think that caught y'all probably in a crunch there without adequately trained billers, you know. And then you went through that conversion. You went through your Medgenics conversion, and which we were talking to Andy about it today, and my opinion of a software conversion is that it's a twofold process. You've got to have people internally that know your business office table set up, know your insurance payers, know your charge master. Your charge master's got to be clean for all of that to pull across clean when you do a conversion. And then two, you've got to have people on the Medgenics side or the conversion side, the software side, that know it also. And if you don't have those two pieces working together, then your conversion process is not going to go smoothly. And even in the smooth ones, you hit some hiccups. So I think you have some conversion problems, and you definitely have some charge master problems between your codes, the way they're set up, and also your pricing. Some of your prices are set, I feel like, fairly low for some things. Others are set probably on the higher end. We like to recommend. We don't actually set your prices, but if we do a charge master review for you, we will recommend some formulas to Andy, and he can approve whatever he wants to use as far as setting your prices. But you know, probably if we did that, some of your prices would come down, some of them would come up. We did do a reorganization of your business office a little bit. We actually sat down and interviewed each of your business office employees and found out what their job was and what they felt like their specialties were. And then we tried to sit down and then we talked to Andy too about it, where he felt like it would fit the best. And so we kind of revamped your business office personnel right now. We're still in the process of working on that. You know, sometimes your first game plan is not exactly perfect, so we may have some revisions to that in the future, but anyway, we've revamped it, and honestly, I will tell you, your personnel have been very gracious to accept those changes. You know, I always said that I will always work on the hospital side, not as much on the rural health side, but the clinic side, but it would have been more difficult for me to move to the clinic, but, you know, we moved people around from the clinic to the hospital and hospital to clinic, and folks were just fine. Or if they're not fine, they haven't expressed it to us, I guess I'd say. They have not expressed it to us, so, and that's your visit. We just put your little org chart together for that. We are in the process of writing job descriptions for each of those jobs, so that you'll have detailed job descriptions. I don't think you have that in place yet, so we are in the process of that. You do have some provider enrollment issues with the way your claims were being billed out, and with Dr. Passman being moved and getting him attached to your ER group number. So you do have some issues with that going right now, and to bill it out correctly until that process is complete, and I think Debbie Whitman is working on that for you as we speak. You're going to see some out of network. Some of your commercials are going to be out of network, you know. So that, I mean, you know, here's a few complaints about that until that gets rectified. It was not happening before just simply because your billing was not going out correctly. I mean, you didn't hear those complaints before because your billing wasn't going out correctly. So anyway, that's there. Your charge capture, since you're still totally paper, in other words, each department manually turns in their charges, and then they're manually data processed into the charging system. You do have some charge processing, I think, problems. Outdated tickets, maybe there's a wrong code, a wrong charge sitting there that gets keyed in. So we're working department by department trying to correct some of those charge tickets. We don't have it in place yet, but we're actively getting there. Are we?
Just on that thought, are you going to eventually get us out of the paper deal where we're strictly, or is that something we're going to have to think about
That's a
later?
software issue for y'all.
Yes,
We cannot do that for you.
We are working.
Where we don't have to worry
The
about updating.
charge
it all the
master
time.
issue that she's talking about, we've got two databases and we've got to make them match exactly. So we need to have it cleaned up, make them match exactly, and then we can turn on that where those charges will start flowing through the software.
So we can do it and don't have to worry about
Yes.
if we hit the right box or not.
And there will be, and you know, honestly, when you go to electronic charge, in other words, if I go give a medication and I document it, and I have an electronic documentation system, and it drops the charge in that patient's record when I deliver the medication, okay? You can get, I mean, that's where you need to get to eventually, but if I pick the wrong med and document the wrong med, it drops the wrong charge. So you've got a human error, you've got an element of error, even in an electronic system.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not going to totally fix, but it's where you want to go because that's where we have to go by paper regs. You're going to have to be totally electronic. You're going to have to get to the meaningful EMR stuff. So I know you're moving, and all hospitals are in a little different spot given their facilities are. So, but anyway, that's a good question, very good question. But there's still a human error,
Right, I understand that.
even if you go electronic. So. Mr. Ralph on this report. I'm just kind of briefly hit high points for you. One area we are working on some for you, and I know if you're a Medicare client and your Medicare is primary and you have Medicaid secondary, generally Medicaid does not come in and pay for whatever Medicare pays. Medicaid says, that's all, I'm not paying anything more than what I would allow, so I'm not paying for, okay? But the amount left over, whether it's $5 or $20 or $30, can go over and be claimed as Medicare bad debt for you. And so since this is the end of your cost report year, we're trying to identify those accounts that can be moved over to get to, so you claim it on your cost report, so you have your cost report. And that's what number 4 is about, cost report issue. That's what that is. We talked about the business audit. IT issues, like I said, we've encountered multiple problems. I mean, honestly, it was not all of your billers' fault that you weren't getting claims out correctly because the Medgenics is not set up correctly. And I'll give you just one example. There were multiple examples of this that we tried to correct this week on. Supplies should be billed in a revenue code 270, but like if I got 5 supplies, the charges for all 5 of those supplies roll up to one line item on my claim with a dollar amount and 5 units. Okay? and you don't have to have any HICS goals or other codes to build. Yours are detailing those out. Your Medgenic system right now is detailing those out with a HICS, and your claim will not go through like that. So all of it was not your builder's fault. We've got some setup problems in Medgenic. And that leads me to talk about Medgenics just a little bit, and because we have other facilities on Medgenics, but the support we're getting from Medgenics is less than desirable. We have put in multiple calls to them, and we may, or, well, really, it's the rare occasion we get a call back or an email. Our support from Medgenics to get problems fixed is, I think, less than other software companies offer. I think what has happened to Medgenics, our prognosis, they've grown more rapidly than they had the support staff to deal with it. And so, I think that's going to be an issue, but as I told Andy, it is what it is, and we're going to get through it, we're going to correct it as we go and use it. But I do want you to realize that getting them just to fix that, and that's been a long-standing rule with Medicare. That's nothing new, rolling those to one line item. That system should be set up to do that, period. But it wasn't when we converted. So, we got a lot of claims that set up in design. Any questions on the written report? We'll be happy to field any of you have.
Well, I'm personally glad to see this amount down so much, $350,000 on this Medicare. My question, I see this organizational chart.
Yes, sir.
And I guess the question I have is, this is the way we're doing it right now with these people?
Yes, sir.
And is this working?
It is in some areas. We visited with Andy today, and like I said, since we're visiting about personnel, we can't do an open session, but we did visit with Andy today about possibly making some changes to that a little bit. We have not made them yet. We're still kind of tossing that around. So we're still kind of tossing that around. For the most part, I would say the majority of it, yes, sir, is working. But it's not to say that it's going to stay without some tweaking, probably.
Kind of to go with his question, are these people, are we having to teach them a lot new stuff?
In some areas, yes. In some areas, no. Your admission clerks have been working admissions before, so we're not having to teach them the whole Medgenics admission screen. They know that. What we are trying to hold them accountable for is making sure that we have correct payer information loaded into the system on the front end. And I'm a nurse, so I know how it works on the back end. I mean, as a nurse, I'm telling you, I'm worried about taking care of the patient and getting my documentation down and doing what Dr. Passman tells me to do, and the patient. I'm not so worried about the billing side. I've never worked on the billing side. So you know, but admission people are offset. They're offset in that. Their business should be business minded. And so we're going to try to hold them accountable to collect correct payer information, get it loaded in the system right, because if you don't get it right on the front end, it doesn't come out right on the back end to us. So we're really going to work hard on getting some of those admission errors corrected and some things that probably were more, I would say, careless errors than they were knowledge errors.
And some of it, let me say this, some of it was their processes. How they were getting it and getting it in the time frame they were getting it to go. And so, because those processes were not good processes, we are trying to tweak those processes to where we are getting it on the front end while the patient's there, getting it in the system, and that they're still here, that we can verify all of that information so that we know it's correct before they ever leave and go home. And that process was not happening, and so we were doing things on the back end, and the patient was already gone, and you may not have all of that information you needed, so you're just putting in what you had, or what was gotten at the time by nursing or...
And I'm not going to leave nursing out, because after hours, nursing's going to have to gather that for us. They're going to have to get a copy of the insurance card, and they're going to have to be a little bit business oriented, whether they want to or not, you know. So yeah, some of it was just process problems. We worked on a little of that today, and we'll try to finish up some of that in the morning with your ER registration process. So some of it's a process. That's a very good point, though.
And the other thing that I think we need to make a point is that y'all aren't the only rural facility. There's hundreds of them in the state of Texas that I've been in that have, been in this position. Y'all didn't get this way overnight, and we're not gonna get you out of it overnight. It takes time, but it takes time as working together as a team. I've had numerous conversations today with some employees. We are here as your team member. We're here to help you, but you have to, it's all on a communication thing. That we are communicating together, we're coming together as a team to resolve whatever that issue is. We work together to come to a resolution, together in agreement, and then we implement it. And we'll get there, but it's going to take some time.
A good example is where we changed our game plan too, when we first came in August. We thought, because I know some of your back accounts are really in bad shape, and we're just involving them on some of those. So we thought, we'll try to get some of that cleaned up, and then transfer the billing to IHM, okay? Well, every week that went by that we didn't get that billing transferred in-house, because our biller, Mary Alice and some of the Lubbock office are very good with the Magenic system, and know what's got to be rolled together, and they can manually touch that claim. It's a very time-consuming process, but they were manually touching those claims and rolling that stuff together like you should to get your claims out. So we changed our game plan kind of right in the middle stream. We brought all your billing into the Lubbock office on September the 4th, so that we didn't continue to have problems, because those claims were just growing because we couldn't get them out right. So once we got into the Lubbock office, at least now we've got some of those problems rectified and are getting your current claims out the door. Most of them, the majority of them. If we've got correct payer information and that sort of thing. So that's a good, and now we're going to kind of step back and try to take a look, start working with some of these older accounts that are still collectible for you. All of them are not going to be collectible, but some of them are going to be. So we felt like we started out just the opposite, but then we realized very quickly we got to get that billing in house, because every day we were just having more claims that were adding to that list. So.
Well, and again, where you did not have the billers were not educated to understand the payer rules, just like she mentioned that certain things had to roll together for certain payers. And when they didn't know to roll them manually, and the system was not doing it for them, and they didn't know exactly how to do that, well, they're sending those claims out, and then when they hit that payer, they're automatically rejecting them and kicking them out as if they never got the claim. So, it was just it's a snowball effect. It just grows. But where our billers do know those rules and are experienced with that, at least it may be a little bit longer manual process to get our claims worked through the day, but we can get them out the door and get them to the payer and know that they're accepted and they're clean. So that y'all's cash flow is not, come to a screeching halt or is affected so much by it.
I'm going to turn it over, quit talking, I want Betty to talk about your claims. Just a few minutes. She's the expert on billing and claims, and so if you have any further questions later, I'll be happy to field them.
So y'all all have this aging summary that we put in there, and I'm assuming that y'all all are familiar with your aging buckets and how the age trial balance shows what age that those dollars are in by financial class. And so you can see what your total AR is in the different, I gave you the comparison from July to August, and then by financial class, and then hopefully those dollars that are in the over 365, anything over our 61 and up, that we hope that those dollars, we don't hope, they will, and those older dates of service those dollars are gonna go down, and your current should be coming up. It should reverse to the opposite of what it is now, as we clean up that AR and get the old stuff out of there and get it processed back through. I'm working a detailed aging. I worked over the weekend on it, and I worked on it some today. On some of the APS, the accounts that are still over in APS, that we still have balances sitting out there, and what I've identified is they have not been billed they were billed, it showed they were billed electronically, but they're not paid since, say, September, October, November, December of 2011. So, for whatever reason, that if they got to the payer rejected them, and there wasn't any follow-up, or they never got to the payer, even though our system is showing it. But, so, I'm going to work very desperately to get any of those that are still within our filing deadline to get charges, Connie to move charges over into Medgenics and us to get those out the door so that we can capture as many of those dollars for y'all.
You have a year filing deadline on Medicare, you have a year filing deadline on Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And there's,
And y'all do a lot of Medicare business, so that's good.
yeah, what is y'all's Medicare rate on it?
Right at 81%.
81%. So, you know, there's a lot of that we hopefully in Medicare Blue Cross will. I had 28 accounts with Blue Cross, and there's probably about, I don't know, 7 to 10 of those that we're going to lose that are prior to September the 19th. But anything over that, there's I don't know, whatever the difference in that, about 18 accounts that we're going to get processed and get them on out, back out. And what it looks like to me is that the professional claims were processing over and getting paid, but the facility was not for some reason. And I don't have any idea, you know, in that system what was the problem, and that's here and there because you're not on that system anymore. We just got to get the charges over into the new system and get them processed out.
And I will say one of the things that's slowing us up a little bit about working the aging is the report format in Medgenics, when you print them out of Medgenics. At this point in Medgenics, they don't convert to Excel. We have to go through long processes to get them into an Excel spreadsheet where we can separate by payer, where we can separate by the oldest claims at the top that we need to work first, or the high dollar, you know.
Where we can sort it.
Where you can sort it, and it's difficult. So that we're struggling with that issue too. Literally, Beta and I worked all day Saturday this week trying to convert this report that you have came in 43 pages, trying to get that into some sort of format where we could convert it into Excel, and really never got it right. And so finally, we took total dollar amounts and built our own Excel spreadsheet. So that's an issue that we're struggling with. I don't think it's anything we're going to be able to do anything about. Billy says that Medgenics is in the process of going to a web-based system, and when that happens, it's going to be a while. But when that happens, we will be able to convert reports out of there easily into an Excel format.
They will be in an Excel-based system.
So that will make it a lot easier for us to work the extra balance.
And the other thing that I want, like we said, that we picked up the billing in September 4th, that week of September 4th. And so we billed out, Rural Health Clinic-wise, we billed out around $4,000 that we've, in that time frame from that week of the 4th till now, till current. And then on the hospital side, we billed out $155,000. And I added up the roughly, the biller sent me these reports today, and I roughly went through and tried to pull out the inpatient and swing bed accounts. And it looks like, this is just an estimate, so please don't hold me to it, but it's about 66 days that y'all should get reimbursement in your inpatient and swing bed per diem rate, daily per diem rate. Do y'all all understand on your Medicare days? These are Medicare days. These are not anything to do with commercial accounts. There was about 66 days that we filled out that you'll get reimbursement in around 14 days, because that's what our Medicare seating hold is. After they get a claim, they hold it for 13 days. It goes through the edit process, and they pay on the 14th day if it's electronic. And so you've got about 66 days of per diem that will be coming in roughly in 14 days.
That's $3,000 a day.
On inpatient and swing bed squat. I don't have the breakdown between inpatient and swing bed because my report didn't reflect it. I'd have to look up each
That rate's
account.
real close together, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2,000 and something, and then it's right at 3,000, right? So you can kind of, you know, put a pencil to that and have a figure. We should be having that, reimbursement coming in around 14 days. So, do y'all have any other questions or anything that you need us to clarify or address?
No, I think y'all did a good job.
Will we have a report every month? Will we have another report next month?
We can. We sure can. We do that for some clients. We do a monthly report if that's what they would like, to try to
First,
just.
we'd like to see what kind of progress we're making.
You wouldn't have to come and do an oral report.
No, I mean,
Right. And that's what I'm saying too. We can do a monthly report of basically the things that have covered from 1 month to the next and kind of where we're at, and send it to Andy so that he can put it in the board packets if that's what y'all like. The third Wednesday.
I would like to make one more comment, and I'm not saying this just to inflate Dr. Pastor's ego. I've worked with a lot of providers through the years, a lot of physicians and other providers. I honestly, I've worked with Dr. Pastor a little bit here, just conversations here and there. He's been very good to want to know where he can service his patients better and really get y'all reimbursement too. He wants you to be reimbursed. I think you're very fortunate to have Dr. Pastor here. So I will say that in front of him because I've worked with a lot of physicians and providers through the years, and they're like all of us. Some of them care a little bit more than others. So I would like to throw that in there.
We feel fortunate to have you. All right, stop it.
Dr. Pastor, I don't say that about all providers.
Yeah, we have some other clients. We have some physicians that are. Any more questions? We appreciate you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
We are going to do our best to try to get you where you need to be.
It is not an easy job, we understand that.
Okay.
I guess, I'm sorry, I would, I just did have one more comment. I would say that when you can afford it, you really need a charge master review. I would like to put that recommendation out there to you. Now, when we do a charge master review, we'll take that charge master line by line. We're not going to do a general overview of it. We're going to take it line by line. Look at the charge code, look at what you're charging, make sure the description matches, make sure the revenue code's in the right revenue code, delete outdated ones. We'll take it line by line. We'll also meet with every department manager and go over it and say, okay, here's what I'm building for your department, because I believe department managers should be cognizant of their charging, because it's their revenue. They're going to want a new piece of machinery here in a little while, or they're going to want a new whatever. Well, they've got to be cognizant to get their charges in there right. So I think
Now, this is an additional
it
over what y'all
is.
did. Is that very, real expensive?
we have sent Andy a proposal on it, and we've sent Andy a proposal. We do give our management clients a 25% discount off of that total price. It depends on how large you are and how many departments you are, but.
How often do you have to do that? Because, we've been dealing with charge masters for
And you get a lot of
You're
bad
always
charge
gonna have to
masters.
deal with
You're always
but is it like, are you gonna have to update it every year? But you go along, once it's cleaned up, I guess,
Once
theoretically.
it's cleaned up,
it should be
the
okay.
yearly cleanup's not near as hard.
Okay.
Your HICS codes change quarterly. New codes come out quarterly, and they're deleted quarterly.
Do y'all catch those every time quarterly then we don't have to have somebody?
Well, what we-
Because that's been part of our problem is that we've had personnel that's supposed to be checking it, didn't do it.
Well, our big problem with our last charge master review was, the way I understand it, there's more than one layer of the charge master. And only
layers.
one layer got
Yes,
fixed.
ma'am.
And none of the other layers got fixed, so we basically threw that money away.
Oh,
Well, only
anyway.
one layer got reviewed. What they did is they took our charge master and they just scanned it through a machine to see if our revenue codes were good. Yeah, okay, they're still active revenue codes, but they didn't tell you, does this apply to this specific item or not? We've never had the line by line review that they're discussing.
And I'll tell you, being in healthcare for so many years, we've had some bad charge master reviews in this too. Before we
Pay
had
thousands of dollars.
Pay thousands of dollars for it. It just irritated me to death until I realized what was going on. So don't feel alone in that respect either. But what they're doing is they're loading it into a software program. We have one. We leased one from Ingenix.
It's not cheap.
And they're not cheap. and we pay a high salary, a high price to keep that here, but we can load charge masters into that. If we can convert the charge master into Excel, that's the problem. We've got to convert it into text in Excel, and that's gonna be an issue, I think,
With Midgenics.
with Midgenics, but, we're gonna have to get it into Excel somehow. And then, all that does for you is tell you if you've got a deleted code in there, or if that code doesn't fit with that description. It'll air out some major problems. What it doesn't tell you is, okay, that's a valid code and that's a valid description, but is my price right? And secondly, is this the procedure you're really doing? Is this department manager really doing this procedure? Because I already caught a couple of issues that I know you're not doing that procedure, but you're filling that one out. But I think,
Or
your
the
charge master fits.
procedures that you're doing that you're not billing it right.
Yeah, so like blood transfusions. So I think, yeah, they like to sell you those charge master reviews and tell you it's gonna be the cat's meow, and it's not.
And
Something
and
we're gonna have to
so,
address.
it is, and let me just, from our standpoint of being at Devon, I was at the Devon Hospital for 15 years too, and like Wayne said, I've come up from admissions up through into financials as CFO, and we've had numerous companies do charge master reviews, but when I left the hospital, I went into the consulting business and went to work for a company back then that was called PSC, Patient Services Exam, and they did a line item by line item review of your charge master, and literally they reviewed it and tiered it by your four major payers, your Medicare, Medicaid, commercials, and your workman's comp. And so all of those softwares that you run them through, they are running them and comparing them to outpatient Medicare only. That's all they're comparing and looking at. So even if you get that first layer, your default set up correctly, say for outpatient Medicare, that doesn't mean that it's set up for Medicaid, Texas Medicaid, or your workman's comp program, or your, what Blue Cross wants, or what Cigna wants, or United Healthcare, because those codes can change individually. And so if you're not looking at line item by line item, you're not talking to your department heads and knowing, are you truly doing this test, are you doing another test, and you're just billing that, then there's where you get into being out of compliance because you billed for something that you really haven't done, or you've done something that you're not billing for. So it is so much more detailed, but most of your software vendors that do the charge master analyzer, they don't go into that, and they don't tell you that, and they just sell you that front end where they load it into an analyzer and they dump your report out and they say, okay, now you fix your charge master. They don't fix it for you. And that is something where IHM, we do it as detail, and we're going to make sure it gets in the charge master correctly, tiered down as far as we need it tiered, so that it pulls for every payer class correctly. And that's what drives your cash flow. So it is a huge, huge, important area of your hospital's cash flow.
I like the details. Even though I'm not a detail person. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Y'all have a safe trip.
See y'all in the morning.
Well, I guess you'll be back in the morning.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go, we got a little work to clean up yet. Thank you
got
very
work to
much.
Okay, the administrative report, I guess everybody read his report. Any questions on it? Or anything you need to add to your reporting?
I told y'all I would keep you informed on the Medicare Advantage or the replacement policies. I learned something today that to offset that cost report hit you that you take at the end of the year, a lot of the bigger Advantage policies, such as the one Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, and United Health are offering now, you can negotiate that at the Medicare per diem rates. We get paid plus 10%. I did not know you could do that. That almost offsets the end of the year if you can get those contracts in
Or
place.
just that replacement policy?
This is those replacement policies, because those are not going to go away, and we're going to have to address how we do those.
We
don't do something about that, we won't have any Medicare patients, will we?
Well, exactly, because starting September the 1st, all of the retired teachers in this area were automatically switched to a Medicare Advantage policy. The retired state employees have been switched to they don't really have a choice in this.
So we just need to adopt.
No.
We're gonna have to come up with
Sure
a
about
solution.
that.
Well, they were given they were switched and were told that
They don't
December
have-
or
they don't-
January they could opt out.
They don't have to.
No, they don't have to switch, but they're automatically being switched unless they specifically go to them and opt out. That's a clear explanation. I had a resident today come in and asked me if she should opt out of it. And the way she said they explained it to them was they were automatically going to be switched unless they signed and sent in the opt-out forms. So, and this was a retired teacher.
But my wife's retired, that's not the way I understand it.
So,
So maybe we better look into it.
yeah, because my understanding was that they were going to be automatically enrolled unless they did the opt-out.
Anything else for Andy? Does anybody have any other questions for Dr. Report? Okay, so now we need to discuss the addendum to the physician's contract for moving expenses. Y'all realize that, we pay moving expenses for everybody else, and we didn't even consider moving expenses for him. And he's requesting $3,000 to defray the expenses to move him. And we need to make an addendum to his contract, not just approve it, it needs to be part of his contract. Any discussion?
I can leave if you want me to. I'm actually going to stay.
I'll say,
Everybody's made a motion, and Marvin seconded. No other discussion? All those in favor? Okay. I honestly don't think anybody even thought about that.
It never came up in the discussion when we were talking about it.
Overlooked.
Okay. Everybody get a chance to look at James's report for the nursing home? Anybody have any questions for him on his report?
You got any question on the survey you have?
Mr. Bean corrected all the corrections or problems. So these problems here, is that what,
Yes.
non-compliant with the.
Which sheet are you on?
The second sheet. It has corridor, return, bar.
Okay, that's your last safety code. That first one is waiver deal, waiver. The only big expense here could be, which wouldn't surprise me, the attic is not sprinkled. Now, he did not know, he had to do some checking, and we won't know until we get our final question to fill out. So this probably next week or the next when we get to this, so we know about the sprinkler. Yes. That is all the base for the rest of I wrote me up on locks again. Last year, wrote me up on bathroom locks, now wrote me up on door locks and closet locks. So I don't know, probably over $2,000 locks for it. But everybody else figures it's not gonna be a, heavy load there, money wise. The health department and the nursing stuff, that is one good survey. I'm real pleased with the girls. They bragged on everybody in that nursing home. The resident central care plan was only one person. We got that corrected. Infection control, Dr. Sink Valley didn't follow up on UA. Clinical record is new DNRs. And the kitchen sanitation. The wall behind the dishwasher does not have a baseboard down there. So we got to put one down there so she opens up.
Anybody have any questions for James? Okay. All right. Did, y'all look at George's, list of things he's working on? Any questions for George? Anything to add, George?
I would like to bring to the board's attention, and it's something I think you all know, but I just want to make sure that all the patient rooms, air conditioners are 13 years old. And we replaced one at 24. We cannot buy parts for them, so what we're doing is if they go out, we're just kind of replacing them as we go. Same way on the roof. All of the units on the roof are 12 years old. And another problem, I talked to Margaret about this the other day, is the boiler system, that water heater is 11 years old. So all these things are just, they're going to wear out, in other words. So I just kind of want y'all to be aware of that.
Kind of like buying a computer the other day when you bought it.
Yeah.
Do you, on air conditioning units, or you, like, buying, working on, go through stuff, or
Not
just
with-
get by parts or stuff?
We're keeping the old ones and taking the parts, the good parts off them. We're trying to, as much as we can, you understand?
Right.
But like I said, if it gets to the 24 and the compressor goes out, it's not feasible to go spend $400, $500, $600 when you're talking $1,500 for a brand new unit. So, but all the little parts, belts and stuff like switches and all that kind of stuff, yeah, we're stripping them off the old machines.
Okay, we don't have any other departments here.
I did want to give you a report, alternatives, effectively, we took it over yesterday. And it is moving forward, so.
Any medical staff concerns, Doctor?
I think we're going to address that shortly. The big concern is that we have a whole lot of people that just carry charts around, and it's almost like a game in the clinic. Let's see whose desk we can stack higher with charts, and just
Is that number 12, our amazing chart?
That's the next time.
good.
Okay.
So, regardless of how good a job I do taking care of patients, unless there's a effective communication with the people that pay the bills and effective submission of the bills, nothing gets done. So, with the girls here, we're doing a good job of working the charge master, getting all that stuff taken care of. But there's a huge gap right now, and that is the providers communicating what's been done. And looking back through all the old charts, the old hospital charts, and today I finally got to the nursing homes, and even the nursing home charts, the notes are just completely inadequate. They teach us absolutely nothing in residency about what is required by Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance in order to get paid. It's something that you kind of pick up along the way. My predecessors just have not picked it up. We're woefully inadequate. We've gone from, on the ER chart, there's a little area about that big for the doctors. I've made a new ER chart that's 4 pages long. It's a lot of writing, but we get paid for it. And ER is a huge moneymaker, but it's a black hole in our place. So the easiest way to address it is to go to where the biggest volume is. Right now, the biggest volume is in the clinic. This amazing charts, I've used it in the past. It's very intuitive. It was designed by a physician. And it will make life completely different. Right now, we do things that are so bizarre, it just makes my head spin. Just as an example, a patient goes to Lubbock, Lubbock, Abilene, whatever, and sees a doctor there, gets something done, has all that information sent to us, I have to sign it all off. I'm on the hook for everything, but the patient doesn't come to see me, doesn't get meds from me, except for the controlled substances. He comes see me for that. But I'm on the hook for everything, but he doesn't come to, so it's just so bizarre. So, every single chart there needs to be reviewed, it needs to be updated. We've got charts that are this thick, that 98% of it is extraneous information. And the amazing charts is the answer. It's cheap compared to.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
These amazing charts, will it help tie in with our billing?
Well,
Make the billing simpler?
That would be Andy. He's been working on that.
No, what I'm saying is it going to work with our billing?
Yes. Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about the product. I did check it out, I have researched it. It is fairly cheap, which is a good thing. It works very well. It's highly rated with the research
What
companies.
is fairly cheap?
$2,000 per provider.
It's $2,400 to $2,445 to install it, hosting program, and $500 a month. And then annually you'll have the $2,400 rates.
$500. There's an ongoing charge.
Yes, because we're doing a hosting program.
Oh.
It was $2,400. Yeah.
Plus, don't we have to buy stuff?
No.
Oh, we have that.
No, we have the server already in place.
Because weren't we gonna already do electronic stuff last year?
Yes, we were with Prognosis. They were going to go with a company called Clear Practice. They were going to partner with them. Clear Practice has been sold out to another company, so Prognosis is no longer partnering with them. They are writing.
Prognosis.
They're writing their own program right now, but it will be a way out before they have it.
The good part about this amazing charts, regardless of what goes on in any other area, at the end of the day, with amazing charts, you can get a super bill that you can, by hand, send it wherever you want and do whatever you want with it. So regardless of what goes on with Medgenics or anything else, a simple data entry person can take the super bill at the end of the day and turn that into money fairly easily. And it also will take care of our emergency medicine issue because you can use this for emergency medicine also. And then I'm also going to try to utilize it for the nursing home. So.
This will also, like, if you have a patient that's gone to love it to the doctor, you can tell if he's already gave him a prescription for what he's wanting you to give him a prescription for.
Yeah,
no, they won't be tied together.
Well, there are some tie-ins. There's tie-ins with Up to Date, which is a very comprehensive medical database. There's a tie-in to the pharmacy program also. So there are some tie-ins like that, but it's still, when patients go to a consultant, it's still, you're still relying on the consultant to send you
It won't be
discharge
shared
summary.
data like we're building with the other systems.
Right.
Yes,
But-
it will get to that eventually.
But when they send the discharge summary, we can scan it in, and it's all available on a single screen. You're not going through a chart, stuff falling out over here, and stick-it notes over here, and just and the whole med refill thing, the way it's going right now, that would be all changed too. So
We won't have stacks laying around.
it's just amazing.
And plus, the government is making it mandatory that we go to the electric record.
Yeah, and it has built-in, what do they call that? Useful or
Meaningful use.
yeah, built-in
It's
meaningful use.
OSC certified, which means
all that.
the people that certified for meaningful use has already approved it.
So this is gonna cost us $2,400?
There's, now the setup fee to hook it up to X-ray lab is $1,500 for those interfaces. So that each, no, 500 each, 3 interfaces, yes. So that the lab reports can come into that system, the X-ray, CTs, etc. So that's another
And that's a one-time charge, right?
Yes,
One-time charge.
2,400 plus 1,500?
a setup fee,
Well,
yes.
but
And then
my
500
understanding
times-
was that it was $19.95 per provider forever. Was that wrong?
For that, if you do each individual provider,
You're buying a 10 provider lot?
I'm buying a 10 user hosting. Because you have to, the users are the clinic, office personnel, your nurse, Terry, yourself, whoever's going to use it, the ER. Each each login, each ID has to have a user.
I thought it was just providers that got charged. The interior.
So, okay, $2,400 setup fee, $1,500 to tie it in to where we need to go. And then the setup fee you pay each year, you
Yeah.
pay once a year.
Yeah, and part of that is the support.
But then we pay $500 a month.
Yes,
Well, what's that for? I've never heard of that. What is that for?
that's for the hosting fee, that's for the providers.
So that's $6,000 a year,
Yes. Was above what I.
And then,
$6,000 a year plus $2,400 a year,
No, yeah, we paid 24.
plus $1,500.
well, that's getting a
One
lot
time.
more
No,
expensive
the
than I thought it
1,500
was.
is just a one-time fee,
One time.
just the first year.
That's to do the wiring and all that kind of stuff.
And the setup fee is $19.95 plus the off-site storage, so that we don't have to keep our server full of all the data is $250. So that's part of the 24.
So one more time, what's the ongoing charge for the $500 a month?
It's for 10 users.
But what does that mean? What is that? I don't understand what that
That
means.
10 people can be on the system at the same time.
So I thought that the only people that were charged were the providers, and I get on and I do whatever I need to do. What are these other people going to be doing?
They're going to be doing scheduling. They're going to be doing documentation, like when Inez goes into the room and does her vitals and all that.
So they charge for that too.
On the hosting, you're thinking of the other side of the product.
Well, I thought it was a lot cheaper than what it's coming out to be. I mean,
Well, the bill was cheap.
yeah, but it's. I mean, we've got to do this.
If you
We've got to
compare
find
it
a
to
solution.
CPSI or any of those other ones, it's a lot
Well, we're
cheaper.
gonna be required to do this pretty soon.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it'll free. I mean, the nurses in the clinic, they'll have so much time on their hands they won't know what to do with themselves if they don't have to lug these charts around. You know, it's almost getting to the point where they need a dolly.
Okay. Anybody have any?
I did go over this with IHM. Amazing Charts will produce a clean super bill on every patient visit that day. And they say this, eventually we will need an interface to get it into the GL on the Magenic side, but
But right now, we
that's
can do
no
that
extra
manually.
charge.
That's not
Magenic
something we
is
have to do right
required
now.
to do that. So,
Well, we
Right.
don't want to put anything else in the Jennings till we get it straight.
Right.
right.
I'd just like to add on the Magenics thing, some of the stuff they were talking about for the setup. Yeah, Magenics wasn't set up correctly, but when they came and asked us, how do you want it set up? In a lot of cases, we weren't able to tell them because we didn't understand the billing rules. So, yes, there is some error on their side, but yes, there is some error on our side on
But
that
they're
setup.
gonna fix that, so we're not.
Yes, IHM is fixing that.
But if we
And
can-
they're doing an awesome job.
But these amazing charts we can use now,
Oh, we can
Yes.
use them tomorrow.
which
If
is what
you-
you would really like to see.
If you approve it tonight, I can have it going by the end of the month. And, if we can have it going by October 1, we still have 90 days where we can do meaningful use on the clinic side and get a little extra money for the.
That's it, George, get your closet ready.
Okay,
That's
so
5 Mondays.
what's the board's pleasure? I mean, our only, I think, real concern with this is, we haven't seen a budget in so long. We don't know, but I think this is something that's very
Well,
worthwhile.
we're gonna have to do it.
Right.
Might have to go ahead and do it now.
Okay. Buddy,
You're familiar with it already.
Yeah, and that helps with the training right there, because he already uses it.
I'll say.
no other discussion? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor of purchasing the amazing charts?
Amazing.
Amazing council, thank you, Patty.
And just a little story too about the last hospital I was at. I started a hospitalist program where there was the internists were taking care of patients on the floor. I ran this program for a year with someone that I had hired to do the billing, and we didn't get paid a penny. And I went to these girls, just like these girls, RNs, who were doing the consulting thing. They charged me an arm and a leg, which was like 8%, but money started flowing in after that. And to this day, I still get about $20 a month in private pay, and it was been closed for 5 years. So, I can't stress the importance of playing the government's game to get paid, and that's what it is. You got to know the rules, or you don't.
That's why we hire these
Okay. Anybody have any questions on the accounts payable?
Checks and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, but both.
Half a month line club membership, $580.
Yeah.
Food is on the last one. And if we're paying that many new,
What is the membership?
$110, I'm like, we're paying
membership for half back last year that they didn't submit the bill for.
But how much is membership per person?
$10. So that's $240 a month. $240.
This was Dr. Miller and Terry.
Oh, they were included also for the past, but they're not on it now, or are they? I mean, I don't care if they are, I mean,
Club member.
yeah, Terry had.
Are you a life club member?
I was there today and gave a little talk, but I'll pay for my, I mean, that's a tax write-off, I'll pay for my own, it's okay. Am I? Well, I got my little application right here, so. Should I give it to the board?
I got it.
Well, Terry did work, I mean, it's like, I just want, if these people,
But I don't think Dr. Miller went.
yeah, he did.
Why?
He did go a few times, I mean, I remember.
Then after that, then he quit going, but we.
Y'all
Okay.
seen that on the check register?
Yeah, it's
check
on there.
record.
Page 40.
Check 23,165.
I was just kind of
I
like,
just do it, I mean, jump out, that's good, I mean, that's what it's for, right?
you do have to work in the concession stand in basketball, just FYI.
All right, as long as I can eat a free little pie.
That will be fine, you can.
Any other questions?
I'm sorry, but I do.
Okay.
This Douglas Harrison is a sonogram tech.
Then there's not.
Anybody done something?
Yeah, they come here. Somebody comes here. and does it.
Okay, that's one comes here. I know the kid was on here twice.
Do they come every week? Sonogram people?
If order, yeah, if we have orders.
And then this Randy Bowers, where's he from?
He's our IT.
What is the deal with that? I mean, it's like, he's on, I'm like, I have a question on him too, so it's not just you, but it's like, can we not keep the computers that we're constantly getting viruses? Do we have Norton? Why do we always have viruses and fixes?
I don't know why we're having the viruses as often as we are, but what he's coming for recently is we've been switching the computers around physically. We've been changing the wiring, the Cat6 wiring, getting the network server in, and all of the changes of downloading the software and all the stuff needed for the EHR. So we have, two different programs, and Vangenics needs a special 4Js program to make it run right, until they get it changed to a web-based.
So he's not really repairing problems, he's just putting in.
He's mostly putting in new stuff and getting us with the EHR. He's had to clean a few computers, viruses off. Here recently, I think there was one in the lab, that's one I can remember.
One at the nursing home.
Okay, yeah, one in the
So
nursing.
how are we getting viruses?
It doesn't,
I was using the internet from the hospital, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a unsecure network, and we got too many people going, Facebook and listening to music, and those sites are known
But
to
they're not
download
supposed to be
viruses.
doing
No,
that.
Facebook,
Well, I mean,
Facebook is not
whatever,
allowed.
whatever
Yeah.
kind of,
Right.
it's the sites that are visited frequently by other people. So I brought my own internet line, and I haven't had a leak problem. So.
And we are looking at upgrading the internet as well to a more secure.
Actually, we started using the scanners up and running. We've already started doing scans, and last night we actually had a emergency scan, and then so we've got issues with we might have to drop another separate line for radiology for the scan because it consumes so much bandwidth to transfer those scans to Nighthawk or wherever they read them. So it's a real problem. It takes longer to transfer the scan now than to see the patient.
But before we do that, we're looking at upgrading the internet, because if we can upgrade the line to this Ethernet, they've got new Ethernet lines. We don't have to change the line, it's just how it comes through. Should fix that. If not, then Plan B would be looking at a
But we
line.
also need to make sure that these people
aren't visiting sites while they're
Yes.
at work, because that's not why they're at work.
Right, absolutely, and we
And
are
that's where you
cracking
get the
down.
viruses, is when
Yes,
you
and
go on
Facebook
there
and all of the social medias are blocked. We have a little bit harder time blocking some of like the internet radios and stuff like that. As much of that as we can block. I mean, we will block as much of that as we can. We also put a memo out reminding everybody don't be using internet radio,
There shouldn't be
TV.
internet, period.
None of it.
I mean, they should only use the computer for work strictly, because that's why they bring the viruses in.
Especially when everything depends on those computers. I mean, that's, you know,
I
that's,
mean, that to me, I'd be grounds to be written up if you find somebody doing something on the computer they're not supposed to be doing.
It doesn't relate to the hospital.
Right.
If it doesn't relate to the hospital.
Especially if it's gonna jeopardize our system, you know? That's the whole point.
And when the server is online, that is going to help restrict that, because then everything will come through that, and so we will have more control over what's being used.
Okay.
And George tells me that's going to be Monday.
More house battle questions.
We still hiring X-ray contract labor?
Yeah, I have advertised the position. We are going to make her a part-time employee on the start of the next pay period. So it will no longer be a contract.
Until the end of the month, I mean, end of the year.
Till the end of the year, she'll be a part-time employee. As a result, means she gets an hourly rate and it's call time.
Is this 22,000 for this recruiting people without one-time deal?
That was what that does.
Anything else?
Yeah, on Dr. Passman, in his first contract, I know, but there's 3 different checks on the same day here.
Next week is good pay.
it's a tax avoidance thing, you know. Whoops, it's being recorded.
Be sure and watch it.
Anything else, Marvin? Okay, what about the ambulance? Does anyone have any questions on the ambulance?
The question that I raised last time, Andy, has been corrected, right?
Yes, sir.
No other questions? I'm good. All right, Biz Tech software license and warranty agreement for X-ray.
Okay, Jerry's not here, so I'll kind of step in for him on this. This is an agreement we have to have on our X-ray equipment. This doesn't have anything to do with the CT, but it's warranty on the new thing, and then that's also our PAC system, which collects the images. That's how we also send our images to Abilene Radiology, or what's the name of the actor out, Nighthawk or not?
Is this a yearly thing?
Yeah, this is an annual thing, you know, this is a renewal of the same agreement y'all had last year.
So it's $6,000,
Yes.
which we really don't have a choice. We
No,
have
this is, we did bid it out, I think, Jerry found 2 other companies, this was the cheapest price.
Okay, so we a motion to approve the software package.
I'll make it.
Okay, Martha made the motion to approve it. We have a discussion. Buddy seconded. All those in favor? Okay.
You will have to sign it, Candy.
I don't know, I just knew that it was above my limits, and I needed y'all's approval of it.
Okay, now let's spend some more money. Let's purchase the purchase of the handicap van and the doctor program.
I pretty well detailed that in my administrative report for you, so
Okay, you said you were gonna go down there and check it out if we approved it. Will they have it ready?
Yes, I will go down in the morning, drive it, look at it. George's, since can't fly, I need somebody to drive.
Is George the best choice because he has so much to do with the hospital?
By Monday.
Is there not anybody else that can go? I mean, George's list of to-do things is extremely long. Are we taking him off for all, for that at work?
I didn't even ask anyone else to be on. Probably could find somebody I needed. I originally was gonna have my wife take me, but something came up with her and she can't do it, so.
Well, I mean, it's just that when you look at George's list of things that he's working on and hasn't completed, I don't think that's the best interest of the hospital, but I mean, you take it if you want, but.
I feel like I needed to go look at the van and make sure it was what I'm looking at. I did miss a little bit. I got crossed up on the mileage on the van. The Hardeman van that's in the lot is the one that has 117,000 miles on it. This one's 145,000 miles. I got them crossed up when I was doing my report.
And this is a gasoline.
Yes, this
so
is a.
Those motors don't last as long as a diesel.
It's, like I said, I need to check it out, but, it's got new tires on it, cab, body's all in good shape. The pictures of it was really
Runs gas every day.
This is
This is the exact same van.
And I was told, was not aware of this, but I was told that diesel motors, the fumes are a problem with some of these patients with respiratory problems.
Well, you can get one of those, reports, ask for one of those.
Carfax?
Yeah, ask them for one of those when you get there to make sure it hasn't been any wrecks or cost. They're supposed to furnish those to you, aren't they?
Some dealerships will give it to you for
Yeah.
Be requested.
Yeah, they're not gonna offer it to you, but, I mean, I think it might be worth it to find out what kind of, if it's been a wreck or been flooded or, whatever.
Or who, do you know, and like who the previous owner was, maybe, was it another, hospital, was it a public, rural transportation agency? Our vans here, they run a lot of highway contracts, have a little stop and go, but, they were putting on a lot of highway contracts. I've always been told that.
Well, so, we don't know for sure that we're gonna buy it.
No, it's got to be checked out. I don't, honestly, I couldn't find a better deal anywhere that was in that price range, and that was as close as I could find at this point. 3 months ago, there were 4 or 5 vans that were cheaper than this available, but right now, I just have to go by what I'm finding. Hardeman price there is put us at $32,750 or something like that. And it's at 117,000 miles, and it's the lower, it's an E350, not the E450.
And what model is it?
It's a 2007 with 117,000. This one is 2004 with 145. So,
We're just going usually just a Haskell.
we know Haskell, right now, most of the patients come from Haskell and Rotan. I think there's added one that will be in Hamlin.
So really only 60 miles round trip.
Yeah.
It's not like you're driving an hour, hour and a half, so it's not as bad.
I think what they do now is they'll make the trip to Haskell real quick, and then they'll go to Rotan, and then they'll swing back to Hamlin, pick that one up, and bring it in. Yeah, they got time to make 2 loops before the session starts each morning. And then, of course, they have to return to home.
Okay, so do we want to, give Andy the authority to buy
Would
the
you
van?
entertain a motion that if he goes and finds it and approves it himself, I think it's what it's advertised to be, that then we'll buy it, I mean, not just say tonight we're going to buy it, but say.
Well, now, he's gonna have to know that, because if he gets down there
Well,
tomorrow,
it's going to be his prerogative to say yes or no when he sees the
Right.
plan, but yes, we'll buy
authority to
I wouldn't
purchase
know
the
how you
van.
would put that down, but, you know, if you're gonna go negotiate, you need a blank check. I mean, you
Well,
say,
I think we
Well,
just
the
need
price
a,
is already set, I've got that.
Yeah, but-
just need a motion to give Andy the authority, you know, to approve to buy this if Andy thinks the van is worth buying.
you can figure out a way to put that.
I was not aware of this, but we are not tax exempt from motor vehicle tax. I found that out.
So I'm gonna add 8
Yeah, it's-
15,000.
Well, it's not quite that much, it's, $900 something.
Now, 31.25.
It's on here.
Yeah, it is.
So it's on here.
But, I did not
Well, if you make a
understand.
motion, buddy, I'll second.
Okay,
Okay,
I
Buddy,
would
you
make.
got, okay, Buddy's made a motion, Martin seconded it,
That's what we gotta do.
All those in
Bring it,
favor?
anything about it.
because we need that van soon, don't we?
Yeah, we're using the nursing home van today and yesterday and tomorrow.
We make sure that, I mean, it has to be just.
Yes,
and everything
it's
like
gotta
that.
have the lift. And actually, I found out from George that we have a lift in storage that's, was used, what, 3 months, George?
Probably.
So, I didn't even know it was there until it was told me.
Make sure that it works. I mean,
Okay.
I wish I could go with you. If I didn't have a meeting already scheduled, I would be able to go with you. Because I'm familiar with things, because that's what I did for a year. So, yeah,
Okay, everybody, we're fixing to have, we're gonna have to go into executive session. Jennifer, are you going to do this? Or do you want it open? You have the choice of having an open session or us going into closed session. Andy?
It's up to you, I cannot. It's up to you.
I don't have anything to hide. Personally.
So, I mean, we can do it, there's, you know, it's entirely up to you whether you want it open or closed session.
It doesn't bother me that
We'll have an
the
open
people
session.
that are here, I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
Keep in mind, it's also being recorded.
I don't have an issue
That's,
with
I
that.
mean, that's the other thing.
But I still don't think she has to be retained.
I don't have anything to
care. I
hide.
mean,
I don't, you know, if it's personnel, sometimes I mean, you know, well, I have to explain something else.
No, can't. Okay, I'm gonna let Andy speak.
First of all, I think Jennifer and I both agree we need to get an employment agreement in place for this position. She was hired under a, I guess, a verbal agreement, and that's where I think we had some misinterpretations. My understanding, and I went through, Jennifer supplied me with the schedules since she has been director. She also given me a year's worth of schedules when Mr. Brown was the director. So I was able to sit there and kind of look how it was working. And I think I've got the numbers fairly accurate. But basically, just from the scheduling side, it looks like that he overpaid for 76 of the half-day shifts during the time of Jennifer's employment. Now, that's
What
strictly.
time period is that?
Now, this is from, I went from March, or February 1st? No, March the 1st, no, February, excuse me, February 1st through September the 1st. There was a misunderstanding, correct me if I say this wrong, but total, her agreement was that for a base salary, she was to work 36 hours administratively and remain on call at the same time, plus another 36 hours of on call each week, which was basically she's either at the hospital doing administrative work and being on call, or at home being on call for 72 hours, 3 days, 6 12-hour shifts. I went back through the scheduling, and like I said, this is not, I didn't have time to go through and look at what actually each week she did work. The according to the schedules, if there was a week where she worked 6 shifts, and I call a shift a 12-hour stretch, 3 days, 3 of those shifts she was collecting her base pay, and her understanding was that the other 3 shifts she would be eligible for the shift pay of $100 per shift. My understanding of the contract and most of the board members was that she would be eligible for shift pay only after she had completed 36 hours administrative and 36 on call, so it would take seven.
Wait, when you say board members, what do you mean?
The previous board, okay, yes, I need to clear that up, that's not this board, it was the previous board. And I think most of us, I understood it this way, I think I've been clear to Jennifer, that's the way I understood it. I talked to several other board members and they understood it that way too. But the way it worked out, Jennifer was working her 3 shifts, and if she worked 3 more shifts that week, she was charging us out the $100 shift pay for each one of those extras.
I just want to say, I came, when I moved here from Sonora, I came to Aspermont for 2 separate interviews on 2 separate days. I interviewed with Andy, Jan Herring, Billy, and Dr. Miller. And I understood the same thing on those 2 different days, the way I've been doing it for the last 7 months. It was discussed at the March EMS board meeting with the members of the EMS board, which Morgan and Bill are the only ones here present. It was discussed then because I wanted to make sure that I was doing it correctly, and I was told again by Jan, 36 hours, and anything over that you get called. I discussed it with Billy on July the 2nd because Deborah asked a question about my ambulance call pay. And she and I discussed it via telephone at that time. And when Andy called me into his office last month, I was completely taken aback because, my first instinct was I didn't want anybody to think that I'd come in here and basically made up my own, idea of what my salary was. That is honestly and truthfully how I understood it to be. Now,
And there was nothing in writing.
I never signed a contract, no.
Has anybody received a minute?
I have, and
Yes.
my salary was not listed in minutes prior to me being hired or after I was hired.
I think it is.
It's not in the EMS board meeting minutes.
I think it is. My understanding is it is, the way I interpret it. It's just the way.
Because that's where I went. The day I spoke with you in your office, I immediately went back to my office and pulled the minutes.
The way I understood it.
I have them there in my office.
My interpretation of it was that it was 36 administrative plus 36 on call. And that's the way it reads in the
Should
minutes.
have brought those minutes.
Probably. But that was my interpretation, because it is in there that there's 36 administrative hours and 36 on call. Where the confusion is I think Jennifer legitimately feels that those were concurrent. And my understanding was that they are separate. Because if you're working 36 administrative, she needs to be on call at the same time. And that's where the confusion came in. She thought she could do the on-call and the administrative together concurrently, so effectively working 3 shifts a week. Where my understanding of the contract and most of the board, or the agreement, not contract, agreement was that we're talking about 72 hours or 3 days during the week. That half of that time would be on site as an administrator and being on call concurrently, plus 3 shifts.
So you're saying that she should have worked 6 days a week?
No, 6 shifts a week, 3 days. And I'm
72
calling a
hours
shift
total.
is a 72 hours total. It's 12 hours. I call a shift a 12-hour shift as well. So in a week she should have covered 6 shifts.
Well, they would have been working at the office.
Half of it at the
And then
office
the rest
and
of it
all.
would have been on call if we were called, eventually.
But I'm on call for all of
fill us down. I mean, you're on call for 84 hours a week. There's a difference between on call and work. And that's where I think that's
We're on call, we're each on call 84 hours a week.
Honestly, I have.
Well, I'm gonna say one thing in her defense. When you're on call, you might as well be working, because you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything.
That is true.
You are stuck right there. You can't, it's
We have a quick response, I don't know what lab and x-ray's response to the station is, but ours is 7 minutes. I mean, and for us, it's a true, lots of deaths,
I mean, I'm not saying she's working all those hours, but
Yeah.
it's not like she's totally flexible,
In the only hospital district, we have employees that we have that are similar. They're not exactly the same. That is my radiology techs, lab techs, because they have their normal jobs that they do each week, and then each one of them takes turn picking up the call time. But, they have their 40 hours that we pay them, base their benefits off of, and then they have, like Dr. Pass, I think we figured this stuff up one time. If you counted on call as working time, he's working 110 hours a week. But, that's lab tech, you're talking about most of those between actual being on site and being on call, we're talking about 84, 85 hours in a lot of cases that they're tied to the hospital, whether they're on site or not. And that's the difference.
So, okay, let me get this straight. Right now, one of the things we need to do is to determine, we're not even going to talk about what you will be paid. Let's just figure out the past, what has happened. Okay, you told me that she had 76 12-hour shifts and $100
And
shifts.
that's based on the schedule.
Now, is that $7,600? Is that what you told me?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my understanding is the salary has not been that much. So that.
Well, no, that's where Jennifer was out today because she was dealing with an ambulance maintenance problem. But the difference there will be like, there were several weeks where she was scheduled 5 or 6 shifts. And like, I know she was in the hospital in Logan, that she wasn't able to pick those up. Other paramedics had to pick them up. I think there was a time there where one of her kids was sick or something. So I'm working, I come up with the 76 strictly off of scheduling, not actual discharge. And we haven't worked out that because I'm not sure where she missed some scheduled shifts for being ill or for whatever reason. But I know it's coming, even following the gross. You're talking about we're only off 20 shifts. We're off 20 shifts. But, there's a variety of reasons that could be different. A lot of it could be, I said she may have been scheduled 8 shifts that one week. She was in the hospital. I'm not sure how it worked. But I haven't compared the scheduling back to what was actually worked. That's how you account for the difference.
Yeah, because I know that's way too much. Way too much.
Yeah. But like I did this strictly from the actual schedule, not from what was actually worked.
So, one of the things I think we need to decide is Jennifer has insurance, right?
In the hospital.
In the hospital, she has insurance. But she's actually an ambulance employee. And I don't know if that's an issue, which I don't have a problem with insurance. But you're the only one on the EMS that has insurance, correct? See, I don't know how, to me, that.
Whose name is on the bottom line of this?
Hospital.
So I would assume then that,
Or it's like me, or like Jimmy was a member, employee of the EDCI, but she got benefits through the city. She got paid through the city because the city was over us.
Right.
I don't have benefits, so that's why I can't say that. I would think we're over the ambulance, and that's why she's a hospital employee.
But now see, here's the difference. She's a hospital employee, but the ambulance reimburses the hospital for her pay. So that really doesn't make her hospital employee. You see what I'm saying? I think we've got some gray lines that I think that's where our problem is. We don't ever get this all straight to begin with. You either need to be a hospital employee or an ambulance employee. Because you can't be a hospital employee if ambulance is reimbursing hospital for her salary. You understand what I'm saying? I think if she's going to be a hospital employee, she needs to be a hospital employee 100%. She gets full benefits, you know, her insurance, her paid time off. I don't think we can have her as an ambulance employee paid by the hospital and then reimbursed by the ambulance. To me, that doesn't make her a hospital
Who came up with reimbursing the hospital?
They say they've been reimbursed all along.
So was this under
See, I
David's?
asked the question one month, what the check was from the ambulance driver to the hospital. And that's for her pay. Remember I asked?
Yeah, we run it through there, so we wanted to run our health benefits.
See, I think that's where we get into so much trouble is we don't have any clear-cut guidelines. We need clear-cut guidelines for every department in the hospital. You can't pick and choose the way we're going to do it.
That's the way that is too.
Yeah, I realize.
We were our own entity when David had it,
Yeah,
correct?
it was, well, the
Now we're
hospital
not.
hadn't taken it
Well,
over yet.
As far as the state's concerned, we're hospital-based, and we have been as long as it's been Stonewall County.
Yeah, because it had to be licensed under
Yes.
somebody.
It couldn't be licensed as a government entity because we're not a taxing, I mean, we're a fee for service.
Then I don't think if she's gonna be an employee, then I don't, is there a way that the hospital doesn't continue anymore to the ambulance service? I mean, because if
Well,
we're gonna pay
not
her.
with the interlocal agreement that we have now. At some point, we may have to change that interlocal agreement.
That interlocal agreement actually states that the hospital has taken complete ownership. It uses the word ownership.
Well, I was talking about the funding, so
But if we're owners, I mean, if we're the owners.
Well,
then-
I think here where you are, you've got the city and you've got the county involved. And they'll want to have, I think, a meeting probably yearly, so they can come see how things go. If you don't have the ambulance books kind of separate, then you really can't paint a good picture of how things are going. And I wholeheartedly agree that she is probably an employee of the hospital, but to try to paint a clear picture of how the ambulance is doing,
well, you're talking about as far as receivables and payables and all that, right?
I'm talking about, you know,
Right.
kind of as far as P&L at the
Right.
end of the year.
And I don't have a problem with that. Where our problem lies is the way she was hired. There was no agreement, there's no, I mean,
Well, we need to fix it then instead of just talking about we didn't have anything, what we do.
Right, well, that's
I
what
would
I'm
like
saying.
to know
We
what
need
the
to fix
minutes say. That's.
Jennifer, would you like me to go get the minutes? You can go get them, or I can go get them.
I don't mind running real quick. Are they locked up?
No, they're in the, when you're sitting at my desk, the filing cabinet to the right.
The big
pull out
tall one?
The big tall one.
Mhm.
Pull out the third drawer down.
Mhm.
It's alphabetized. Look for board minutes.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Back to her time working administration versus on call. So, if I get this understanding, okay? You're at the hospital doing administration. And they're saying 36 hours, so that could be like 8 hours, 4 days, whatever, 5 days.
you do it three,
Do you
12-hour
do
shifts.
three, do you work 12-hour shifts when you're doing administrative? But you're not on call at that time, you are on
She
call.
is on call at that time for the.
Then, isn't it mostly, y'all, if you're on call, you're on 24 hours? Or is that just like Stephanie and Melinda?
It varies. Nobody, sometimes we are, sometimes we're on 48, sometimes we're on 72. It
Right.
just depends on who's available, I mean, for,
Because
you
there's
know,
only two
other,
of y'all.
and for Tammy and I, it's just split, and right now it's split. Tammy doesn't like football, and I have a son that plays, so I make sure that I am, you know, on if there's a junior high or JV football game here, or a varsity football game here, and off the days that varsity plays out of town, so that I can watch Taylor play, that kind of thing. There is no definitive, you know, she works Sunday and I work Monday, and she works Tuesday. It's split, and basically, the way I set it up for September, when I made the September schedule, was that whoever works that weekend works Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that someone has, you know, a weekend off and that time to be with, you know, Tammy's got children in school, I do as well, that kind of thing. So it's not a set 12-hour shift or 24-hour shift, it varies for everybody.
And I know the original intent in the discussions was that, I think it was, you know, we wanted to get 24/7 coverage with a paramedic.
We have to have.
Yeah, which we
Yeah,
we need.
We need to have.
So we knew that Tammy would be covering 3 full days, and understanding what Jennifer would be covering 3 full days, which that would leave us 7th day each week, or where we would be able to continue to use an outside paramedic, or though they could pick up the shift and we could pay them extra for that. And I mean, it didn't matter to us who picked it up. Somebody was going to collect it, it may as well be one of them if they wanted to work it.
And it was
If I
discussed.
recall, when Jennifer retired, and Jennifer kind of stepped in, sort of, I think, like you stepped in, maybe with a few problems.
Okay. Different answer.
So, you know, she started trying to get us, you know, some things updated, but, and Billy, you were there, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Jennifer's recommendation, or we discussed it, that we should have somebody on that ambulance that was qualified, like you are, and like Tammy is, along with then a second person,
Yes,
like Melinda and
at
Kay.
this point in time,
because
that's really the standard of care.
that's the standard of care, and if you don't have that, and something goes wrong out there on the ambulance, then you could, you know, have yourself in trouble.
There's a lot of.
Well, and there's some transports that you can't make if you don't have a paramedic on the truck.
So, I think that was decided by the previous ambulance board, that we should have the correct personnel on that ambulance.
Yeah, we wanted to get 24/7 paramedic coverage. I was in on that meeting, I remember it specifically, that was your goal that you wanted to get to.
But I'm not gonna rely on my memory about your, you know, your, I would hope that we get in minutes. It was supposed to be.
Well, while we're waiting for Lynn to bring the minutes back, I skipped the budget one.
I mean, we
We
could not do
noticed
it.
But we just not got this tonight, did we?
Yeah.
Is this cut, is Steve?
Oh, Lord, no. In the administrative notes, in my report,
This isn't anything you want us to approve.
no,
Okay.
I knew
So
y'all
we can
wanted to
take it
start.
home and look at it.
Now, let me tell you where I know we're accurate on this. Deborah had, y'all need to, her usual exemplary job has been done here. The expenses line items on this budget are accurate to what we spent this last year. We just had to do very little guesswork to see where the expenses are. The revenues at the nursing home are going to be fairly accurate based on if she gives you 2 numbers. There are 27 resident census and an average 29 resident census. You want to come back to this?
All right, these go back to January 11th, 2010, and this is really good. I think discussion about director began somewhere around November.
Where's the one where they discuss your salary and your pay? That's another need to look at.
That's what I'm saying, I went through here, and if somebody can find something that I can't, that'd be great. But
When did you come interview?
When did you say?
January, so let's look at January.
Oh, I was going by what Jan was, I mean, that's where I thought
Oh,
that
you said
Jan.
you read it in the minutes.
No, they said it was in the minutes. I never got a copy of minutes. I was never part of that board. I was invited to several of those meetings. Jan's the one who, I hate to bring her name up without here, but she's the one who told me that was what the agreement was at first.
January 9th.
The way I understood it.
This was just before I interviewed. I interviewed at the end of January. There was, February, if somebody wants to talk.
Some of those I put.
You were there for February, you weren't there for March, or even March.
That March.
Okay, on this meeting, you were already hired because it said Jennifer
Yes.
will begin in care and unpaid bill.
My official start date was February 13th.
February 13th. Okay, so there's nothing in this about,
What
do you have, March?
Yeah, I have March, and it didn't have anything at all to do with her.
Here's a March special call.
I have February. She started February 13th.
Would have been discussed in January.
Who took minutes of the meeting?
Really did until April.
Okay, it was
As soon
because
as you were hired.
when were you actually hired?
My first official, well, I was hired, it was January 29th or 30th, was the day I came over and was given an official offer for,
But we wouldn't have a meeting to hire you. We should have minutes of that meeting.
all I have is what I was given, which was a book, a notebook at the time, and this was all in it.
Okay, so we have nothing about employment
Billy, do you
agreements.
remember if you kept copies of the minutes?
I need to keep individual copies separate now. At least one of the discussions around her was done in executive session, so we wouldn't have open.
But you still have to have minutes in executive session.
But they wouldn't be in.
No, but who would have it?
We didn't keep them separate all the time.
There has to be minutes, we have executive session, there has to be minutes, and they have to be sealed and put somewhere separately. Okay, so we have no minutes, we have no way to know what was discussed, because nobody remembers. So here's what here's my opinion, just really my opinion. We don't have an employment agreement, we have nothing that says what she was supposed to be paid or not be paid, and how can we take money away from her? There's no, and I don't think there's that much difference in rate, but I don't see how we can take any money away from her and not have anything to look at, no agreement. Nobody knows what really was agreed.
So do we make a new agreement of saying,
We
we'll
have-
pay you X amount of dollars, and this is what we're suggesting at this point?
Do you think we can take money away from her that we don't?
Well, I'm not saying we're taking money.
No, I'm just talking about this first part of the
Oh,
agreement.
no, I mean, I don't see how, Are you asking, do we make her repay? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what.
No, I don't agree with that.
Because we don't have anything to back it up.
Because if she's anything like me, it ain't gonna be there.
I'm having a hard time, I'm having a real hard time about not having minutes of when she was hired. I mean, that's terrible. I'm sorry.
That, I don't know.
I think there should be minutes.
I thought there would have been too, which is why the day I talked to Andy, this is the first, I went right back to my office, pulled these and read through them thoroughly. I went back to August of last year thinking it was discussed before I was ever interviewed. It would have been discussed about what my salary would have been, what are we willing to pay an EMS director. There's nothing.
Honestly, I thought they were in the minutes as well, so I was caught off guard when I was told they were
I
not.
do remember one thing, that salary, was at a special, that salary discussion you're talking about was at a special call meeting in the courthouse,
Where's the
not
minutes?
at City Hall.
It
If
should
I
be
just
up there.
remember right,
Good.
I was invited as a guest and I got there late, but I do remember it. Yeah, there should have been minutes, but I remember Dan and Ronnie, Billy was not there.
Would y'all like me to call Lonnie and just see if he?
Well, honestly, I thought that there were minutes around it, but, I mean, I didn't keep a separate copy, so I can't prove that.
I don't remember if they had a quorum there.
No, if they didn't have a
They
quorum.
didn't have a quorum, they didn't have
They
a
were just
discussion.
discussing
It didn't
it.
matter.
Yeah.
They didn't have a quorum.
Well, if they didn't have a quorum, she wasn't hired. If she was hired, she would have been hired in
But I
another
think
meeting.
that's where they were
Then
sitting
there
down
should be minutes
discussing,
of that meeting.
they were discussing the salary parameters and job duties. and that.
Because I wasn't at that meeting in
I
court.
know you weren't there, neither was Larry. Trying to remember who was in the room.
Okay, here's my other question. Does she remain an ambulance employee, or does she become a hospital employee?
In the I don't mean to change the subject, in the November meeting under personnel issues, they went into executive session at 5:36, but there's not anything outlined in here about what was discussed in executive session.
Well, that would have been November 11th. She wasn't hired till,
No, it's personnel issues, which have pay structure and pay increase.
I believe that's when that station's got a raise.
Yeah, that's what happened.
When minutes were typed up, were they just given them to the director at that point, or, I mean, when you made minutes, did you have a notebook?
Yes, they were all in a notebook that David had, and they were just carried on.
Well, when y'all had executive sessions, what did y'all do with those minutes that you took during the executive session?
I didn't take minutes during it.
but we,
Nobody took minutes during executive session?
when we got a packet from ambulance meeting, did we don't have the minutes in the packet?
Yes.
You should have.
Approve the minutes.
I don't know,
Yes.
Then I was not acting till I was not. We would,
You didn't include them?
I didn't, I wasn't doing that.
Oh.
But what I'm saying is when I sent out agendas, all it
oh,
was
it
sent
was
was
just on the agenda.
I gave everything that I had
That's right.
to the
You made
EMS
copies
director or
and
whoever.
distributed them after meeting.
We did not.
yeah, the agenda was the only thing.
Yes, that's all I went out. Y'all didn't have packets like before here.
And honestly, I was just carrying on from what David had done, which I agree, I did it incorrectly in not getting the minutes in the packets, and I didn't keep a separate set of my notes when I made them.
Did y'all, when y'all had y'all's meetings, like, did they just give you the month, the paperwork, and you took it home, and y'all put it in a notebook or anything like that? I mean, like on my boards, what I do is I have notebooks, and they leave the notebooks here under the desk, and I mean, I don't normally keep these.
I think the minutes were actually read.
Did y'all remember that copy?
We didn't get a copy. Read.
The minutes were read and every board member at the meeting I was present for had a copy in their hand at the meeting as they were read.
Okay.
You might ask Sally, because
Oh, yeah.
Sally was on the board, I was on the board.
Sharon, Dan, Ronnie.
So do we just need to table this whole thing until we get the minutes?
Except for one thing, I would like, your direction on how you would like the employment agreement going forward structured.
Well, that's what I asked. Is she gonna remain an ambulance employee,
Now,
or is she gonna be a
I'm doing
hospital
some,
employee?
I've done some research, and I'm not complete. But there may be a small advantage if we are able, if we make this a hospital-based EMS, and we get it under the critical access reimbursement. And you've got to remember, this is a small reimbursement increase because our Medicare utilization in the EMS is only about 35%. But for that 30 or 35%, that would make our EMS Medicare runs, Medicare patient runs, cost-based. The problem I have is that I don't know how the city and county will look at that if they think that will void their interlocal agreement and their the increase from the critical access reimbursement increase. As near as I can tell, but I said somebody smarter than me is going to have to look at the numbers, but I don't think it would offset that $4,000 we're getting from the city and the county at this point.
I wouldn't be in favor of changing anything. If that's licensed under the hospital,
It's licensed under the
subsidized by the hospital, the city, and the county. Right now, I think
That's what it is.
Well, my only concern, Marvin, is the way the salary's being done. That's the concern.
I understand what you're saying, but you know, and I don't care if she gets paid by the hospital, you know, if she is actually, the hospital is running the ambulance, she is actually, well, I say employed by the hospital.
Well, here's the way I look at it. You know, I don't think you can offer insurance to one person on EMS and not offer it to everybody. To me, that's not, you don't offer, and I know they're shift workers, but still, I think there's a fine line in
But aren't we doing that with the nursing home?
nursing home that everybody's insured.
I thought it
That
was
just changed. That
But,
was
I mean, it was
changed.
just
Right,
changed.
it
I mean,
was.
we're gonna do
And
it. Well, then,
it was just changed, and it should have never been done the way it was done.
You know, and I think there are two EMS employees that were interested in joining the plan. So we're talking about another.
I mean, I don't know.
they gotta maintain 32 hours a week.
Right, they have to work 32 hours a week in order to.
So that's where you can get the difference.
How do you tell the
Now,
on-call
remember-
pay that makes you full-time? And my understanding
See,
is
that's where the
on-call
kicker
pay
to
would
it
be 10
is.
days a month would make you full-time.
The
Well,
first care
but our
administrator,
insurance is different.
our insurance company does not count on-call as,
The insurance companies themselves require you to work 32 hours a week.
she qualifies because of the 36-hour administrative requirement.
Linda's already on the insurance.
Me and
Yeah,
Mother
Linda
already
pays
are.
on-
It's just Stephanie and Tammy that's not, that would be the other two
They
full-time.
are shift worker, on-call workers. I mean, they only suit up and go out.
I think that's something that we need to check on. I don't think we need to make, I mean, I'm sorry, Jennifer, I know you need some answers.
It's been a long time.
I
I
know.
mean, this is, and I'm not asking for the board to feel sorry for me, but that call pay was a big reason I took this job. I mean, because I truly honestly understood it to be that way. And the potential for me to lose that call pay and more than double my hours of being on call every week is a big deal to me. I mean, that's gonna hit hard to have to take a pay cut, basically. But I realize that the EMS, the hospital doesn't have a ton of money either. And I certainly don't want to run either one of them into the ground. And certainly not because of my salary. But I also have to support my family.
Let me ask you this, was David's salary,
It's in the history there, but
Right.
David's deal was he had a base administrative salary of, I think it was around $22,000 a year. 25, is that what it was? And then he was paid the shift pay for every single, all shifts. If he pulled a shift, he got the $100 shift pay. So his gross was around 45 a year. And that's where they arrived at the base for
Okay,
Jennifer.
what
that
I
they
think,
thought-
we may have to have another meeting, but I think
Oh, I
Marvin
understand.
wants to get his minutes together, everybody needs to get their minutes together.
Well, I just like to look,
Right.
to see what.
But I mean, I think we need to determine whether or not to make Jennifer a hospital employee. I think we need to determine how we're gonna pay her. I mean, it was all, everybody evidently looked at it a different way. We need to determine what we're gonna do about insurance, whether she's gonna be an ambulance or a hospital employee. And I don't think we can answer your questions about what kind of employment agreement we want till we know all the answers. And we may have to have a fall meeting.
How is she gonna be paid from now, right now?
I say she's paid just like she's been paid until we get this straight.
Of the 36 hours administration, currently with that. I mean, so is she gonna be paying the extra $100, paying her that extra $100?
Well, I mean,
Because we changed it to September 1st.
whatever this we're doing right now, I mean, I don't know. Because we don't have anything to tell us how to pay her.
What we've gone to since September the 1st was she's getting that one extra $100
So
shift
your
for-
pay has been cut from September
Not
1st.
about $800 a month. And my call hours went from 36 to 84. And a concern for me is that we have cut all our part-timers abruptly, without any notice and without any real reasoning behind it. I mean, I found out about this the end of August, and when I made the schedule a week later, I had to call the 3 guys that work part-time for us and say, sorry, I don't have, all I have is 12 hours a week, and nobody's gonna drive over here for 12 hours a week for $100. They all live either in Hamlin or in Dayton, and they're not gonna do that. I think that we could potentially be putting ourselves in a precarious position to not have anybody as a backup. We don't have any backup.
What's our
paramedics
reasoning that we don't have any backup?
Because I cover all those hours now.
To get your pay back
To
up.
get, no, to
I mean,
to go.
or just to keep
get-
out all the part-time help.
No,
To do what
to
you are.
do what
Andy
Andy
says you're
says
hired at.
my contract should have been written to.
Well, I do agree that if we, what happens,
I mean,
when you're on,
I'm gonna go on maternity leave in December or January, and at this point, my only option is to, be back in the office as soon as I get discharged, and be back on the truck as soon as I get released.
I think there's a whole lot of things about this ambulance that needs to be looked at. I don't know how we can completely cut all of our extra help, because then when we need them, they're not going to want to come help us.
If we run back into what we were talking about earlier, I mean, if we keep going like it is, December, our ambulance service will be broke.
Well, I know, but if we lose, if Jennifer or
Yeah, I understand the
I mean,
issue, but.
we got a lot of issues that need to be worked out.
Well, if we're gonna have a special meeting just about the ambulance, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to ask the past ambulance board to be at that meeting.
And I think we need to, have a whole lot of facts for that next meeting on everything that we need.
And I'm also, 2 people covering 7 days a week, because you and Tammy cover the 7 days.
They're 168 hours a week, and we split those right now.
And that's like 12 hours here, or sometimes 24 hours here.
Or
72 or more.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of 72 hours being on call.
Being on call is the best.
It really, I mean,
Because like you said, you
People
cannot go
think-
anywhere, if you don't
Exactly.
have to do anything, but you feel guilty going to the grocery store, because what if you're in your personal car going to the grocery store, and all of a sudden you have an ambulance running?
I hold my breath every morning that I take my kids
Yes,
to school,
I mean-
because I think, okay, between my house and the school, if we get a call, I'll be dumping 3 kids out on the road, and they're gonna walk the rest of the way, and I'm gonna take them to the station.
And plus, it's very stressful.
You don't sleep. You
No.
don't sleep.
I
sleep-
have been
I
on
sleep
call,
in
I
uniform.
understand what y'all are saying, you do not have a life when you're on call.
Well, I think
Even
we
if
need to
it's
look
full-time.
at maybe a different way
something has got to come up different. And I don't think we need to want to cut our throats with all of our other helpers either, because that's going to put us in a real bind. And we don't want to lose our people we got. I'm not saying we're going to give you the moon, because I'm
I
not
don't,
that.
and
I
I'm
mean,
not.
yeah, I know,
I'm not asking for any
I
more,
know, I know.
by any stretch of the imagination.
But, I don't feel good about making any kind of decision tonight. Okay, guys, we're adjourned.
So let's take a look.
Don't tell me to discuss the budget.
No, we're gonna take another look at it after the drawing.
Yeah, I think our brains are taxed as it is, we don't need to. Maybe when we do the ambulance, we can look at the budget.
So
Because the
how are you
budget's
gonna
coming up
be,
in
how are you
October.
gonna be paid for that $500?
I don't.
Well, maybe that's
Thinking it was less that it's going back to the way it was before.
So will you be
But I need to
reimbursed?
know for sure before I do payroll at the end of this month.
Surely we'll know before the end of this month. That means we're gonna have a meeting next week. I mean, next week is the month.
Well, I mean, it needs to be done anyway.
All the facts need to be gathered, and we need to get it done.
Does anybody want these or a copy of these? You're just gonna look for your personal.
I was looking for the minutes of when you were hired.
Yeah, I hope that somebody has.
Did that work for you, Rich?
No, I never could find it, but.